It's 9 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order of the Codington County Board of Commissions. If you'll all rise for the pledge of allegiance, I'll have Myron lead us.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Myron. Item number 2 is call for public comment. They can either be submitted in person or the telephone numbers that are listed here, 605-882-6248 or 605-882-6297. Item number 3, is there any conflict of interest? Okay. Item 4, action to approve the agenda for January 23rd.
Second.
I'd like to add one item to that. If in reference to using the county APD during farm show week on the parking lot. So we'll add that into the emergency action.
Okay, we'll need is that a most form of motion amendment? We need a second on that.
So you substitute motion by, yeah, I'll second that substitute motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 5. Action to approve the minutes for the January 16th meeting.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Gable to approve the minutes. Any more discussion or additions or corrections? If not, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, item 6 is we'll have a report from Todd from First District. You'll come on up.
Yeah.
Morning, Todd.
I've handed out 2 pieces of paper. One has some color on it, one's white with yellow. I'm going to talk off to the colorful handout first. Again, good morning. My name is Todd Kays. I'm the Executive Director of the First Planning District here in Watertown, South Dakota. We are an organization that provides technical services to Codington County, and every year I like to come and spend a little bit of time with each of the county commissions to talk a little bit about work activities that have happened in the planning district area over the course of the last year. So the first slide just shows that we are one of 6 regional planning and development districts located in the state. We have sister organizations in Rapid and Sioux Falls and Pierre and Aberdeen and Yankton. We're not government, but we're creatures of government. We were created by Governor Frank Farrar in 1971. And we are made up of 11 counties and 76 municipalities, from Roberts County down to Moody County, back over to Minor County and back up to Clark. So those 11 counties in the northeast part of the state. Our mission then, and it is today, is still the same. We're here to promote community and economic development within our members districts, and we still keep doing that today. So the next page shows a little bit about our governing body. We have a 35-member board that provides guidance to the staff and the region. This governing body meets 2 times a year. We have an executive board made up of our executive officers that meets during the interim. The governing body sets our budget. The governing body also establishes our work plan for the year. Codington County's representatives are Myron Johnson, who also is on the executive board. Dan Shuddy is representing the municipalities here in Codington County, and Michelle Kakachek is our at-large member. We also have the members of the Flanders, Santee Sioux, and the Sisseton-Wahpeton are also members. So every county has 3 representatives. As far as how we are funded, all municipalities over 100 in population, and each county pays dues into our organization, and that represents about 21% of our operating revenues. The governing body sets a 10-year due schedule, usually in those years ending in 2. So in 2022, we adopted a new due schedule. That's a 10 years due schedule. So it gives everybody an idea as far as budgeting, both for the association and for our county members and municipal members as well. But we use those dues to leverage other state and federal grants. And we also do some state and federal contract work. That's about a quarter of our operating revenues, but everything else, a little over 50%, is in fee-for-service work. And the fee-for-service work that we do for our members is at rates then less than what they would find in the private sector. And that's just due to the power of the collective. The next page just talks a little bit about the staff that we have on hand. Last year, that number was about approaching 190 years of work experience, but we've had some retirements and some people leaving the office. And you can see at the top of the list, there's a few old dogs yet that still work at the office. Myself, Ryan, Darren, Amy, and Luke have all been here at least 15 years. I'll be 31 years here in May. But then individuals like Alex Conkey and Kelly Hendricks and Mason and Jessica, 4 new employees last year with less than a year of service. They're basically going to be the future of the planning district. But we have a really good, talented staff that knows what they're doing in their various areas of expertise, which segues into some of the things that we do for our members. We're known for writing a lot of applications, grant applications, loan applications for community and economic development projects. If those projects get funded, we in turn help with the administration of all that free money, but because there's no free money, it all has a lot of strings attached to it. And so we help out with that. As far as planning and research, it's in the moniker of who we are. We do all kinds of reports and studies and analysis and plan development and strategic planning and capital improvement planning and zoning and all those types of things. If somebody wants to know something about something, we'll research it for them. We also have some specialty areas in the areas of geographic information systems. We have 4 people that work in our office that manage statewide and regional and local GIS databases. We are involved in tax increment financing. Our sister organization, the First District Development Company, is a certified small business administration development company. And we have a whole portfolio of revolving loan funds that we provide and partner with local lending institutions to create jobs with new businesses in the area. And then we're always out schlepping the state's programs as well. Every year we kind of come back and talk about, well, what are you getting for your bang for your buck from a dues standpoint? And this last year, we were able to help our members facilitate almost $82 million in grants and loans that came into the planning district. Almost 20 million in just grant dollars alone for our members doing projects that were reinvestments into their communities. If you take those grant dollars and divide that by the total dues paid by all of our members, it was about a $64.47 return on investment. I've been the director since 2008, and we've been averaging about $65 a year on grant dollars coming in, to the tune of about $261 million over the last 15 years of grants. That's not a reflection on our office as much as it is the members reinvesting into their communities, trying to find things that enhance the quality of life, promote economic development in our area. We just act as the conduit between our members and those funding agencies. In Codington County last year, there was about $4 million in grants and loans were awarded to the county, $2.3 million in $2.276 million in grants alone. So about a $39 rate of return on investment. That average has been averaging about $45 over the last 15 years. And we've been able to help our members obtain about 34.2 million in grants since 2008. The number last year in 2022 was hyperinflated due to all the ARPA money that came in. If you can recall, when I was here a year ago, we were talking about $370 for every dollar's worth of dues came into our organization. But again, we are here to provide those services to our members that we excel in. And any questions just on that handout? On this one-page handout here is just more of a indication of actual work that was specific to Codington County over the course of the last year. As you're all very much aware, the first district does a lot of GIS work for the county. Luke Muller is the zoning official here in the county. We have done work, assisted Rick Hartley here, the highway super in the county, in developing your highway and bridge plan. That's requirements. A couple of years ago, we finished up a pre-disaster mitigation plan and a hazardous materials plan for the emergency management office. This last year, the big grant award winner in the county was Henry. They're doing a water and sewer project over there. They received about a $2.3 million loan or grant and about $1.7 million loan to enhance their infrastructure over there to accommodate development. And then we do a lot of work here in Watertown right now. There's it looks like I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different water and sewer projects that are going on with the municipal utilities and the city with a lot of ARPA money that came in last year, and we're assisting them in the administration of those dollars. Our office acts as a conduit between the city and the county on a variety of development issues. We are the individual. Luke in the zoning office works as the intermediary on the joint zoning between the city and the county. We also maintain databases for the city and their GIS department. So basically, again, Watertown is home to us. We're very busy just because of our proximity here in Watertown and Codington County. But at the same point in time, we've appreciated the working relationship that we've had with the county over these 52 odd years. And I've still got a couple more years left in me, I think, before I ride off into the sunset. But we enjoy our relationship with Codington County and Watertown and the other municipalities, and we look forward to another prosperous years. And any questions or comments, I'd be more than glad to address.
We get a pretty good deal on the first district.
Well, thank you. I hope so.
It's kind of like we couldn't really probably afford to have you to ourselves, so you know.
Well, and that's really the whole intent is that you know, there are some counties and communities that maybe need a planner on an ad hoc basis, and they might need somebody to help write a grant. They don't have the critical mass or workflow necessary to hire somebody on a day-to-day basis. And so that's why we share. I might not do a project in South Shore for 3 years, but the money I take in those dues, we'll use that and apply it to Carthage, for example, if we got a project in there. So, I mean, it's really, it's the collective working together. We look at things from a regional perspective, and Watertown is only strong, and Codington County is only as strong as those neighboring communities in Hamlin and Clark and those other places as well. So again, we do thank you and look forward to your support this year.
We're glad
Yep.
glad you're right here in Watertown.
Well, it works out.
Yeah,
We can
thank
rattle
you,
your
Todd.
door.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Doug.
Thanks, Todd.
Okay, item number 7, if Andrew could come up for the emergency management.
All right, Andrew.
Morning. Well, it seems like it was a short month. When I was looking back at the calendar, there wasn't, a lot of big rocks, but I mean, it seems like we've stayed very busy with a lot of smaller things. Sherry's been doing a great job. Like, there's a bunch of stuff at the start of every year that, paperwork to fill out and changes to make, basically for the LEMPG or our local emergency management performance grant. So she's been doing that and doing a great job on getting our quarterly reports knocked out. We had a region meeting in Aberdeen, and concurrently, well, on the same date, we had crisis track training. I've talked about crisis track at least once before, but it's a newer program that they're rolling out for like post disaster, and essentially in the past, we've, you know, annotated like where the disaster or where the damages occurred, took pictures of it, had to label them all. Now all of this is essentially getting wrapped up into this program. So I can give like a township supervisor a link to a site, or I guess he has ownership of his little piece. And like I send him the link, he can open it up and, you know, take pictures, and it's geotagged, and he can enter in dimensions and so forth, and it'll come up with damage estimates and so forth. So moving forward, that's all they're going to accept is preliminary damage assessments that are completed using that program. Couple months ago, search and rescue kind of established some plans for a few committees. I think that those are pretty well set. I think that's just going to make us a little bit more agile instead of having to get the whole board together to make decisions on everything. Now it's going to be streamlined through the committees, so you can have, you know, a policy committee, you know, working on policies, while, you know, interview committees, you know, looking at applications and so forth, and, you know, raffle committee is doing their thing, and instead of, you know, like having to try to find the entirety of the board to make a decision on anything. So I think that that's going to be an overall positive. Spent some maintenance stuff here and there, and some of it we've handled internally, other, you know, externally, but yeah, things have been good.
That's good. Thank you, Andrew. Down on item 8, we need to, and these are the approve of volunteer rosters for workers' compensation insurance. These are the people that are the weather.
Yes, sir. There should be a couple of lists. So there's a list of weather spotters. These are the weather spotters that we have come to rely on over the last couple of years. And then there's a second list of the search and rescue, and those are required just for workers' comp purposes.
We need a motion to approve that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to the volunteer busters for workers'
I'll
compensation.
second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gable, second by Commissioner Johnson to approve the volunteer rosters. Any more discussion?
So this includes both the weather spotters and search and rescue.
Yeah.
Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. And then we need to action on to adopt the annual local emergency planning committee roster, item number 9. And we have a
I'll make the motion.
okay, motion by Commissioner Gable, second by Commissioner Waterman to adopt the new LEPC roster. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item number 10, action to declare the search and rescue pontoon as surplus to be traded. Is that
So
they're trading that off, I take it.
yeah. So we're planning on getting that. I mean, we just don't use the pontoon very much anymore. The whaler that was acquired before I got here is much more suited for what they're doing. Additionally, the motor that's on it, sometimes it's difficult to get parts for. It's a 1998 pontoon. That's, I don't know. I mean, we just haven't used it much, and we're looking to free up a little bit of space. So
I'll make the motion to for that surplus.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Gable, second by Commissioner Johnson to declare that pontoon surplus. Any further discussion? All those in.
What were you,
Go
what
ahead.
were you gonna trade it in for?
Um, for now, it's gonna be in-store credit,
Okay.
but they have their eye on some new, like, sonar equipment.
Okay, all right. Good, thank you.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Yep, okay. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. Item number 11 is action to authorize application for Homeland Security grant funds.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Johnson, second by Commissioner Gable to authorize the application of this grant. Any further discussion?
When does that due? I mean,
I wanna
it's current, right?
Yeah, I just looked at the dates,
That's
so
fine, it's just very
January.
within the month or so.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was January 1st to, February 15th
That's so,
is the application window.
yep, thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Andrew.
That was a lot of business for a short list.
Come on up, Brad and Matt. Morning.
Morning, gentlemen.
How's it going today?
Good.
We got a lot of information today, doing some end of the year reports and some numbers, so.
Did a good job on radio. When was that? Yesterday or the day before or sometime?
Yesterday, I think.
Yesterday?
Seems like time kind of just runs together, doesn't it?
Yep.
Are you
Guys
gonna
want-
be on next Saturday too on the recount?
Maybe. Hey, sounds like they're doing some replays once in a while. So. Well, we'll go over our monthly balance sheet and our report there quick. So on the front page there, you'll see our commissary monthly balance sheet. The bank balance end of December was $18,708.01. At the time, the snapshot took this here, the lobby ATM and booking kiosk was $6,124.57 for a grand total of $24,832.58. Like I say, at the snapshot, the resident balances were $3,081.10. Commissary items were $4,067.24. For the fund balance of 17,608.24, which brings us back to the 24,832. And you'll see we made $1,401.51 on the commission there and $2,437.36 on the phone and kiosk commission for the month of December. So look over to the monthly balance sheet. That's our checking account for the sheriff's office here. Bank balance end of December is $10,108.51. If you go look down, you'll see there's $16 in copy fees that were collected, $8,678.01 in sheriff's fees collected, and $525 in warrant fees collected, for a grand total of $9,219.01, leaving us back to our $889.50 balance. Lee's gonna pull up on the big screen here, but we'll start with our sheriff's office activity. For the month of December, there was 563 cases and calls for service. There was 20 accident reports that were completed, 82 warrants that were served, 204 civil papers that were served, and 3,428 transport miles in the month of December. If you scroll down to the middle there, you'll see some of the jail activity. Our average daily population for December was 58.97. Our high ADP was 67, low was 51. On our 24/7 program, we had 11 people on the scram bracelet, 11 people on the remote breath, and 39 people in the twice daily PBTs, and 28 people on the twice weekly UAs, and 0 people on the sweat patch, for a grand total of 89 people on the 24/7 program. There was 204 bookings for the month of December. You scroll on down to the bottom there, you'll see the month of December, out of county contracts, we collected $13,564.98. Work release fees, we collected $1,200. 24/7 fees, we collected $6,454, and scram fees, we collected $2,368. I have just a couple other topics before we dive into our year-end report here. Kind of wanted to touch base with and just kind of share with everybody here. I did have a deputy sheriff that was accepted into the DRE school program. It's a grant course put on by the state here. It's a 3-week-long course, and a DRE is the drug recognition expert. I will spend a couple weeks in Sioux Falls, then a week in North Carolina, learning the signs and effects and being able to pinpoint the use of methamphetamines and all the other kind of drugs that someone might be on out in a vehicle or out and about. So it's a great tool that we can use here in the house, and can also use the police department and some of the agencies around us can use as well. So DREs are in a short supply here in South Dakota. So that's kind of a good thing coming up here.
One quick question before we proceed.
Sure.
That remote breath, is that starting to be more of a used item all the time? Or are the numbers of people that use those going up?
I'm actually gonna lean on Matt on that one.
Say that's the person's choice. So if you
Yeah.
live farther away, then that might be more convenient for you, but if you live in town, it's cheaper just to come in and blow twice a day. It's your choice which option you want to choose.
Or if you're that lazy.
Yeah. So it's the person's option, really.
Well, I just see the numbers were going up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I thought,
It's convenience, I
Yeah.
think, is what you're paying for.
Kind of like the scram bracelet, another option. So,
everybody was a little bit, oh, well, I ain't gonna pay that, but pretty soon they're used to it.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So. One other thing here, before we dive into our end of the year report here, contracts, I'm looking at our contract numbers for our out of county contracts. Kind of want to have a little discussion with you guys to kind of see where we should set those numbers. Currently, we're at $95 a day for out of county contracts. When we took our number and kind of figured everything out, what it cost per day per inmate, it was $129.67, something like that for last year's cost of confinement. How we figure that is we take everything it costs to operate that jail, just like it's a business. Every expense, the inmate expenses, everything that it costs to run, that's how we come up with that number. Divided by the divided by the inmate bed days, and that's how we come up with that number. 129.67 is a little bit higher than last year. Or than 22, I should say. It was 101.88. Some of that is there were some projects that were in 2022 that they couldn't get the supplies, and then they ended up on 2023 budget. There was also the inmate health went up more in 2023. That was a substantial hike. So there are some expenses on here that are kind of fluctuating a little bit. We did some checking with the out of other counties here that do have jails. They range from anywhere from $75 to $115 is kind of what we're seeing for their contract rates. We, I think, offer a little bit more, like say with inmate health and mental health and some of the things that we have in our facility here. I'm kind of inclined to ask for maybe 115 to 120. We earned 165,000 roughly last year in out of county contracts. So if you actually took that money and applied it towards that $129 a day fee, it actually will bring it down to 121 that it costs Codington County for our inmates. So
Do you need a motion on this?
I just want an open discussion to kind of see what you guys are.
I would.
I don't want to price us out of the market, but I want to be able to make sure we're competitive.
It's not on the agenda right now.
No,
But
It's-
you're talking for next.
Yep, I'm just talking about discussion before I send out the contracts here, so.
Mr. Chair, I myself, anything less than what we're paying, we're supplementing the other counties.
Yep.
In reality, I'd feel more comfortable with 130. That's where we should be in all reality, because yeah, they do fluctuate. We do earn some, to offset that. But on the other hand, facts are facts. That's what it costs. You got the numbers right there, and
That's a discussion that I wanted to have with you guys to kind of bring that numbers up. I don't want to price this out of the market. Because that $164,000 does help with offsetting, and that money goes back to the general fund, but it does help offset if some of them wages that are kind of going in there.
That's
so-
true, but without having the actual cost, which you said was 121 and change. We absolutely shouldn't be charging less than that because we are subsidizing other counties. They have a responsibility for their inmates just as well as we have for ours.
Yep.
We are in the month of January, the fourth week, third, 3.5 week of January. We don't know what price increases you're gonna be handed down when you have to, or when we have to buy uniforms, when we have to buy radios, when we have to buy tires, when we have to buy this. So I would say I'd like to see $130 a day.
I think we're generally on the same sheet of music, just so people have some context. I'm on the clerk, the catastrophic legal expense reimbursement program board, which is, basically an insurance pool for counties to cover costs of expensive trials. And the rate for jail reimbursement is still at $95, and that's up from what it was a few years before. So that's kind of the statewide.
Yeah, for parole and DOC. Last year, legislative session, it went from, I think, was it $70 or $75 up to $95. That's set in statute. That's all that the counties will get.
But that's, I'm not saying, I'm just to give people an idea. I think we're all kind of in agreement. We need to recoup at least the the operational costs as much as we can, but we do need to be careful, I think, about pricing ourselves out of the market, because then we don't get anything. If we're not careful on. The other thing to keep in mind is that the statute allows us to try to do some depreciation as well, to kind of build some money for the capital cost. And we're just talking like 5 or 6% of our jail population, so we're not talking a lot, but that's just not a big thing. So
Last year was
keep in mind.
8% last year for out of county contracts. So
It's
Okay,
But-
well, that's.
But the fact remains that we're offering more services to the inmates.
that
I
we are.
mean, we get healthcare. If someone from Clark or Grant or Dual County comes in here and they need healthcare, we take care of that. We have a nurse on staff. So, this is kind of like staying at the Hilton, and, so, we might as well.
Say
we-
that.
And we could make a deal with those counties. If we get too much money, we could send some back, if they think that we're gouging them or whatever, but they have to house their prisoners and we have the facility. Plain and simple. Just like when you drive into a town and you need to stay overnight, you may have to stay at the Hilton.
All right.
The other part of it, sure, Paul, is the fact that. And I'm not picking on anybody in particular, it's just say Clark County has to travel to Brookings. They have an added cost in man, equipment, meals. Of going down there also, so if Brookings does it for, I don't know, you know what they charge?
Brookings is at 95.
Okay, and they're probably gonna see an increase too.
Some of theirs, probably because they have a newer facility, their operational expenses are probably gonna be a little bit less as well. So,
But they have, but they have an expense and a convenience of coming here versus there. It's, might be a little bit cheaper, but there's certainly, that's eaten up in one trip.
I don't know if we want to use the term like the Hilton, but we do have, we do a good job with medical stuff, but there's just so people know there's no jacuzzis or nothing like that. So as we get into this, into our discussion with the CCJC, I think hopefully we can set up some tours so people can see what it's like, at some point.
But we do have an excellent health facility here in town.
all right. Yeah, I'm good with that discussion. We'll work on getting contracts sent out, and it'll be interesting to see if our numbers look like next year, if they stay around that 8%, or if they go down and we lose some funds. I guess we'll regroup next year then.
Yep.
So. All right, I got some year-end numbers here we'll look at, and we'll pass those down. And half and half here.
Oh,
Yeah.
Grab one and pass them on down.
All through the things all running.
All right, if you look at the Cottington County Detention Center, we'll start with that one. That's the page here, the Excel sheet there, kind of 2023 yearly report. We'll just hit on some of the high points here. There's a lot of information on here. Our average daily population for 2023 was 57.58. That was down about 6 compared to 2022. But if you look at the average there, we're around that 55, 58 to 63. So around that 60 is kind of where we've been averaging the last few years if you took the average out. So if you look at the total number of bookings, there was actually 176 more at 2,455 bookings. That's about 7 a day if you average that number out. Protective custody mental health holds. Talked about this one on the radio a little bit here. In 2023, there was 82 people that were held in our facility that had no charges. They were there on mental health holds only. That number hopefully comes down a little bit now that HSA has their new facility up and going and starts to come down. You can see in the past, it's been 65 to 66, 41, somewhere in there. So total prisoner days for 2023, there was 21,017, which is down a couple thousand from 2022. You can see that it was 92% of the population was Codington County inmates and 8% was out of county contracts. We kind of talked about that a little bit. 24/7 program, there was $76,181.93 in fees collected. There was 19,460 individual PBTs that were given, 78 failures. There were 3,185 UAs given, 39 failures. We can kind of look at all the fees here. There was a total of $76,181.93 in 24/7 fees that were collected in 23. Work release fees, $34,610 that were collected. Out of county contracts, $163,686 that were collected. Fingerprint fees, $3,620 collected, and there was the money that we handled that went to the clerk of courts was $478,543.02, and scram fees we collected $46,054. So the detention center handled $802,694.95. $310,826.54 that was actually remitted back to the general fund. That includes the commissary and the phone commissions, which were $15,505.27. And phone commissions were $17,223.34. So, and that kind of pretty much sums that up. On the back page here, you'll kind of see the some of the numbers we were talking about earlier, how much it costs to run per day. We broke it down all the way to 2018. You'll see some of them numbers jumping around a little bit there. Here's one kind of number, a couple more numbers here that I kind of found interesting when we were kind of doing some of these numbers here. Assaults on our staff in 2023 actually jumped. There were 4 assaults on our jail staff in 2023. And if you look in the history, there was maybe just 1 per year before that, or down to 0 times. So that has gone up a little bit over the last 5-6 years. In 2023, we have a thing called a restraint chair. Restraint chair is used to keep people safe and to help them out if they're suicidal. Sometimes if they're very, very combative and they're fighting and want to harm somebody, we'll put somebody in that restraint chair. In 2023, we used that restraint chair 53 times, which is up considerably. 2022, it was only 22 times, 35 times on down, kind of maybe an average of 25 times if you take an average out the 5-6 years before that. So 2023, people were a lot more violent in our facility. You can show that by our assaults on the staff and the times that we've had to use our restraint chair. Another thing I kind of found pretty interesting here is we were kind of doing numbers. In 2023, there was 22 times that there was an inmate that had tried to hang themselves or harm themselves by having something wrapped, an article of clothing or whatever wrapped around their neck and tied up and tried to harm themselves. 22 times jail staff had caught an inmate and had to either cut them down or essentially saved their life. If you go back and look at 2022, that was only 6 times, 10 times, 12 times. So those numbers have definitely jumped up a lot. There's 88 times in the last 6 years that jail staff have saved lives in our facility here. So that's kind of a number that I find concerning myself when you start looking at those numbers, and
Go ahead.
concerning. And also we have great staff for doing it, finding those. So
That's what I was gonna say, is.
Yeah, we-
First and foremost, it's a tribute to the staff.
Yep.
Pay attention. It's not easy to pay attention in that jail facility. It requires paying attention to what, how many camera views you got, yeah, like 100 different camera views that get into those. They need help. But it also speaks to the facility, that the other conversation. The other thing I want to highlight is that it's good to see the population go down. But we've talked numerous times that now you bring in some data that show you're dealing with a more violent crowd. So it's more, which in our current facility with the abundance of dorm space, some of the older features that you see in jails like bars, steel bars on some of the windows. Those are issues that that I think that we need to address in our facility. It's an expensive thing to address, but we need to do it.
Yep, and then moving on, try to keep our time going here a little bit. Some sheriff's office activity, that's the other page you guys have there. If you look at the 2023 annual report there, you'll see traffic complaints are down a little bit from 2022, 492 to compared to 519. Vehicle accidents, they're actually up a little bit, a lot more deer strikes in 2023 at 404 compared to 391. Animal complaints were about the same, 273 to 289. Assaults were up a little bit, 31 to 29. Burglaries were down just a little bit. Burglary calls, and they were at 17. Disorderly conduct calls, they're up about 20, 73 from 53. Drug narcotic complaints and calls that we've been called to, they're up a little bit, 14 to 10. These are just calls for service. We kind of break down some of them calls for service, and we're looking at that top column there. Theft calls down a little bit. Vandalism calls are down a little bit, and warrants issued from the courts are actually down a little bit too. 886 warrants that were issued compared to 921. And even if you kind of look back even some more there, 1,300. If you look back into even 2015, there was 2,000 warrants issued. So those numbers have actually come down a little bit. So if you look at some of the arrests on the bottom there, drug narcotics complaints, those are up. We had 117 drug narcotics arrests. DUIs, they're staying about the same, about 91. There's 443 arrests all total for 2023 compared to 385, which is from 2022. So you can see we're a lot busier there. On the next page there, you'll see the sheriff's office had total monies received was $963,361.48. Sheriff's fees that were received for $153,133.26. We collected $180,472.49 in execution fees towards the executions, and warrant fees collected were $4,575. Civil papers, you can see that those are up about 400 compared to the year before. We served 2,649 civil papers. Executions are up a lot as well. 186 executions we served compared to 109 in 2022. Warrants served 834 of the 886 that were issued, so stayed pretty good there. Calls for service are actually down just a little bit in the sheriff's office there at 6,760 compared to 7,098. I think some of that has to do with the winter. This year has been a lot better. We haven't had as many calls for service out there. Transport miles are down a little bit, 39,498, and mortgage foreclosures. If you look in 2023, we had 4 mortgage foreclosures. this year already, I've got 5 scheduled for the first couple months here, I've done a couple already, so those numbers I'm starting to see incline a little bit, increase, so. And that pretty much sums up some of the year-end numbers there.
I just have one question for the chief jailer. What, the commissary, we've had that for a while now. How's that working out?
It's working out pretty good. They order it on the kiosk in their room, and then it takes it out of their account. Gets mailed here once a week.
Do you think it's having an effect on their mental? Gives them more of a relaxed mental thought pattern than if they didn't have it?
I think that it's used as a tool, like they don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose your commissary, so they can behave a little bit more. I think that's a good tool something you can take away from them, you know. So that's helped.
So you would see, I mean, I'm not saying you're an expert, you well could be, I don't. But then you would see the amount of assaults going up if you took that away. You think it helps to
I
work
don't
in
know.
that?
Yeah, it's good, I don't know. Yeah.
It's an incentive for good behavior.
It's a
Yeah,
sentiment.
it's definitely an incentive.
The can, it's the stick and the carrot.
Some people don't care, but you know, a lot of them, it works, you know.
Okay.
I have that's kind of a comment, I guess, and you mentioned this, Brad. My concern is on the suicide attempts. How that has increased. Is there some training, is there something that we can do that can, you know, there's gotta be a way that we could, you know, shut that down, I would think, but.
To be honest with you, a lot of it's the facility. They're difficult to see. You have 100 little cameras that are there. We have our staff running 20,000 steps a day already, up and down the stairs, running everywhere. Every 15 minutes, they're checking the minimum of 15 minutes, checking every cell, checking to make sure that everybody is behaving and everything is going on good. You guys have been in our facility. It's difficult to see back in some of these rooms and areas. So I think some of that is facility. Training wise, staff is well trained. We have probably 90% of them now are all crisis intervention trained. There's a few that just don't get it because they're maybe part-time or something like that. Can't make it to the full week schedule with their other life that's going on in school.
Without that CMT, it might even be a little bit worse because I mean, that teaches folks how to de-escalate when they may perceive something that could happen. So, I mean, some of it's, you know, kind of the bigger cultural issue, societal issue too, perhaps.
The thing that concerns me is that, you know, we sit here and we talk about the facility. And then we have a suicide occur and immediately the heirs of that victim, you know, blame us. And we got caught in that trap one time already. And so we just have to continue to do our best in those inspections and following up and making certain. And I know cameras are cameras, you know, but it's a tough job.
I think that says a lot that the 22 attempts last year was 0 completions. That says a lot about the
Yeah.
training
Yeah,
and the people we have over there doing
Yeah.
a darn good job. I mean, I'm biased, but
we got
0
good staff.
completions, so.
Well, 88 in the last 6 years is
Yeah,
a
and
big
0
number.
completions in the last, at that time.
Yeah, then that's to the staff's credit. And
Yeah.
my question is of these people that do have to go in and be interceded with, and you have to stop this. What happens to them afterwards? Do they get shipped off or do they get shipped off or do they get sent to a mental facility to?
We work with Human Service Agency. They're the county's contract to be able to come in and eval and we work with them closely. If they do, we will ship them off to the state hospital if needed, which is in Yankton or Rivera or wherever, to get them the help that they need. And when they're done with that, they come back to our facility.
Because it seems like life is not worth what it was 50 years ago.
Times have definitely been changing.
Thank you, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all you do, because appreciate it all. It's a
Thank
hard
you.
job. Okay, item 12 is action to approve purchases of server and switches for sheriff's office, detention center, and the management office over there.
The sheriff's office, detention center, and emergency management office, we all share a server setup. Every 5-6 years, we try to keep that updated and keep our system up and going. So we got a quote from Connecting Point. And the quote this year, I don't know if Brenda was able to get it out to you guys. I got it to her last Friday. The number is $16,188. What we do is we divide that up between all three departments, the sheriff's office, detention center, and the emergency management. We all pay a third of that to try to keep that up and going. Part of this, there's going to be redundant backup. So there's going to be we're getting a server, and then we're going to use a QNAP for some local storage, but there's also going to be redundancy cloud storage as part of this year. It's been a recommendation of theirs for a while to get some better offsite storage. Right now, we have to every day go down and pull a little disk CD thing out and take it home with us. And so this will actually be a nice backup to the system here.
I'll make the motion to go with that purchase.
Motion by Gable,
Second.
second by Commissioner Waterman to purchase these servers. Any more discussion?
This is budgeted, right?
This is a budgeted item for all offices.
Yep.
Any further question? If none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Action number 13 is action to authorize advertising, hiring 2 new full-time correction officers for the detention center as budgeted.
For 2023, we did budget to add 2 full-time correctional officers. If you look at some of these numbers here, it's definitely warranted. We just got done discussing about a lot of these numbers here. Assaults on staff. I want to make sure our staff is safe. Those have gone up. Inmates assaults have actually gone up a little bit too. So those have been a lot busier. Our goal is also to be able to cover annual leave and time off in 2023, 2022, 2023, there was 4,293 hours of annual leave that was used, or just general time off. So that's about 2.25 full-time people right there, just covering time off. And in 2022, I think we were around that 3,800 or something like that, if I remember right, when we add up all the sick leave and everything that was used. So those numbers have definitely gone up a little bit for time off. And our goal is to be able to have a minimum of 3 correctional officers staffed at any given time. There's times right now where people are taking off and we can't get it covered. We end up with 2 people are on, and you can tell by our numbers and kind of how things are going. That's a safety issue. So our goal is to add 2 more to be able to keep our schedule. So we have 3 people on and cover our time off.
I'll make the motion to authorize advertising hiring 2 full-time correctional officers.
Motion by Gable,
I'll second that.
second by Commissioner Johnson. Any
I just
further?
have a question under the discussion part of it. Have we had some people leaving?
Full-time, we've had the same full-time requests, the part-time that we shuffle through. We hire a lot of Lake area kids. And then when they graduate out, then they switch, you know. So full-time, we've been pretty good recently, but part-timers, we have 6 part-timers. And they've all been there now for, I don't know, over 6 months, but when the school year gets done, then they'll move away or whatever.
Just a curiosity. Thank you.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
we talked, maybe we'll, the sheriff and the matter here, we could do 16 and 17, but concerning the jail.
yeah, go ahead and we'll have that discussion on that.
Okay, so, yeah, number 16 is the possible action, discussion of possible action to engage the services of a consultant to project jail population trends. And this was a discussion during our advisory committee meeting this past Thursday. So part of looking at the need for a new jail, we need to be looking at, how big does it need to be? And the way you do that is you analyze the history of the jail population over time. So the sheriff touched on that with that very thorough annual report. But things have changed since the last time we did this. The last time we did this was 2018, looking at numbers up through 2017. And since then we've had COVID, we've seen the population, we know the population is going down, so we need to reproject those numbers. That's a trickier thing than it sounds like to do. So the expert that's been doing that for a lot of jails throughout the Midwest is Bill Garnos. He happens to be from Watertown, and he gave us a quote of, and this would be when we have some money budgeted for this kind of analysis in the commissioner's budget. So we have 70,000 total budgeted. Of that, I'm suggesting we accept Bill's quote, Mr. Garnos's quote, for $4,760 to finish that up. So his original quote was higher, but because we've learned how to do a good job of tracking our numbers in the jail, so we can, so the three of us will work together on some of that stuff, so we can keep track of that. Give Bill an Excel spreadsheet, so all the part of, he didn't have to come in and dig through our files, so it's just really nice. So that saves me a lot of time, but he does have to project out, and that does take some expertise that we don't have. So my motion is that we accept this quote from Mr. Garnos. To do these jail populations, you can see he would look at basically projecting out about 20 years to see where do we think the jail population is going to go over time, and that's going to help us determine, as we discussed, the need for a new jail, the size it should be, and that quote, as you can see there on this, this is his email where he provided the quote for $4,760. So that's the motion I would make.
Is there a second?
I'll second it, I'll second it.
Okay, there's been a motion made by Commissioner Gable, second by Commissioner Johnson on doing this jail population study. Any further discussion?
It kind of bothers me a little bit. You've done the work for them. I mean, it's right here. And I know it's good to have the stamp of a consultant or whatever, but I still frustrates me that we're gonna give this individual $5,000 or in the neighborhood of $5,000 for work that you've already, thank goodness you guys have done. And hats off to you for keeping track and keeping all of the data. Now, the only data that they will probably present to that committee in addition is what they propose in the next 5 years. So that's basically what we're paying $5,000 for. Just let it be known.
Yeah, that is correct.
Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead,
So
Commissioner
the
Lee.
thing, I mean, I was part of the process of, setting it up so we could pull our data easily from the Zerker database. We're able to track history. We're not able to project. We don't have the expertise to project. That's what we're talking about. Unless somebody's not telling us something. So that's what, and so you can see the first 3 tasks on this email that I got. That's the stuff that we helped them do. We made it a lot easier. We saved a couple $1,000s doing that. Okay, so that's basically where we're at. So he's still got work to do. So this is expertise we don't have. It's just like, just like we talked about HR, first zoning, we don't have full-time staff, IT same way. So from time to time, be a consultant. So
Isn't there, I mean, SDSU spends a lot of money on a lot of different projects. Don't they have projection growth?
that
For inmates and jail stuff, that I don't.
I mean, I don't know, but population, say the population of Watertown, population of Codington County
can I
and surrounding areas.
I think I can answer that, Mr. Chair. So that SDSU study has been something that Mr. Garnos has been able to use in the past, but apparently SDSU has stopped doing that. So where they do a more incremental, overall, say county, how much, what's the year predicted population of Cottington County. And that was very helpful for one of his projection models. So that makes actually his job a little trickier because apparently they're not doing that project anymore. So, so anyway,
I think this data could actually be a good thing, whether you're looking at a jail or not, just for future planning and future projecting for, what we do in our facility here.
I mean,
Things we should be looking at, and when we're doing our strategic plan for our next 5 years, should we be looking at certain things or different, adding components to, so I think this information will be good.
I think what we're saying is it's due diligence.
It is due diligence, just even whether we're looking at a jail facility or not. I think it's something that it's good information.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor of doing this population study, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Mr. Chairman. It's-
Yep.
Number
Yep, go.
17.
Yep,
So number 17 is, we discussed at this, Justice Advisory Committee, the use of a construction consultant or owner's rep. You all have a copy of, a proposed contract. The company we're proposing to work with is Tegra. So we had Mr. Strasberg from, Tegra at our meeting to explain exactly what they do. And let me pull up the contract here. The one thing that wasn't filled in on the one thing that wasn't filled in on the draft contract, and I think you all have copies of it, is the price. So the price we're looking at for this, so that you see the blank on page 2, is $19,888. We have Nate Pearson from Tegra to answer any questions. But the basic thing that these guys would do would be an appendix A of the contract or the proposed contract. So essentially, what Tegra does is they walk you through the process. They make sure you're not, when you're doing architects, construction managers, running your meetings, and basically representing the county or whatever jurisdiction. So they've done this. They're working with Clay County now in their jail. They're working with City of Watertown and a couple they did it with them on the wellness center. They're working with them on the ice rink. So, and I think both Sheriff and I have talked to previous clients and been, everybody's been very happy. The thing that we're really after though is number one, doing this project correctly. So since we don't build jails every day, this is something that we probably need some help with from time to time. And the other thing we look for is a return on investment. So if we pay a consultant to help us, do this process properly, we have a much better idea of the costs and also a better opportunity to save money. So they're very familiar with the terrain. The architects that do various types of construction to include jail construction, familiar with construction managers and construction firms that do this. So they know the kind of questions to ask to say, why don't you do it this way, Mr. Architect? That would save this county some money. So those kind of questions. So if that's basically how I understand it. I got Nate here. Nate, do you think just chime in if you think I need to
Yeah,
add?
thank you. I would say just add on to that, everything you said, that's exactly right. We
You want
also-
to come up here?
Yeah, come
Do
on.
a mic so he's recorded.
Morning, thanks for having me.
Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure.
Into the mic so we can get it on the tape.
Very good. Nate Pearson with the Tegra Group.
Just chime in and add.
Yeah, well said. That's exactly what we're doing. The clients who we're working with, we are, a group of about 10. And we have anywhere from, 15 to 25 projects each year. And a third of our work is South Dakota, even though we're out of Minneapolis. And we're on Lincoln County and Clay County. We're on the state prison project with the Office of the State Engineer. The one thing I would like to add is that, when we're dealing with architects and contractors, we're also talking to the sheriff and his staff, you folks, learning from Garnos, learning from all the data we just heard, and making sure that your operations are taken into consideration during the design. So we're at the table representing your interests is the bottom line. Our entire existence is to do just that. We don't work for real estate people. We don't work for contractors. We never team up with anybody. We're 100% on your side in delivering projects like this. So. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So, and Mr. Chairman, so I'd like to make a motion that we, just, accept this contract, for the amount shown, which. Well, yes, we can see that, it's not written on the copy you had, so I filled in blank, it's $19,880. And by the way, I should mention that, the state's attorney is taking a look at the contract, as far as you know, the crossing the i's. Or dotting the i's, crossing the t's, sorry, so. I make a motion that we, accept this contract, redo this contract for that amount.
So what, say it one more time so we can understand you. So slow down.
Okay, I make a motion that we accept this contract, redo this contract for the amount of $19,880.
Thank you.
Okay, a motion by Commissioner Gable. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Second by Commissioner Johnson. And further discussion?
For what length of time is this? Is for the completion of the project?
Great question. It is, basically for services in 2024.
So yeah, that's an excellent question. So this is this would be like step one. So that's appendix A. That's an excellent question. So then once you say the voters approve the jail, so this would get us up to the referendum, say that the voters approve the jail, then that's described later on in the contract. They would, it's the percentages, it's gonna depend on the cost, but.
Well, the reason I brought it up, $20,000 doesn't go very much.
Yeah, no.
I'm familiar with what you do.
Yeah.
And I've been involved in the past.
Yeah.
A couple church building projects, some things like that.
So,
And,
yeah, that's a great question. So. What I'm looking at here, so if we ever get to the construction phase, then you're looking at, depending on the cost of the project, so if it was like. From 1.5 to 3%.
Correct.
Of that. So-
Correct. And we've
so
got
that's
it.
how they, that's how you make money, so.
Yeah, and we do this very typically. We come in if we can get some expenses paid for, help you get to the finish line and get to the vote. We're willing to do that.
So the way this contract is written, it's pretty much step one, so up through the vote.
This is a very preliminary.
Here,
Yeah,
actually,
yeah.
this 28,000, whatever that was, right? 20,000, close enough, 20,000 is part of that 70,000 that was budgeted for this
Correct.
study. So that's
Correct.
part of that. So it is budgeted, some budgeted money.
Yeah. Thank you.
10%, that's correct.
Yep. Any further discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Go to work.
Thank you. Yes.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Chair, for letting me go over.
Yes, I appreciate it, Commissioner Gable. Item number 18 is, there's just a note.
Well, we got back up to 14.
Oh, did I skip that? That's right. Okay.
And I get that Wrangler.
Steve, you want to come up? We have to declare that floor scrubber surplus to be traded.
Yes, this is the floor scrubber that I put on the agenda for trade-in last week and stuff like that, and this is just a protocol to get it surplus to
Move
be
to approve.
traded.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Waterman to declare that scrubber as surplus to be traded. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 15 is action to declare equipment, office equipment surplus or be destroyed at requested by the Director of Facilities.
This here is a list of items and stuff like that, going through our inventory and stuff like that. This is items that have already been gone, just kind of cleaning things up. One thing I will note, there is a mistake. The last item, Wrangler floor scrubber, that item is still in use. I kind of accidentally got that put on this list, so I need to have that
Taken
scratched
off.
off, yeah.
Oh, okay. We make note of that, that's taken. Okay. Motion by Gable, second by Waterman, to declare that equipment surplus. Any further discussion?
I will make note and so that this is in multiple areas and so that throughout either weed, park, building facilities of some sort, so.
Okay. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Okay. See. Think
Go
that's,
on to the other, or just want to come back. You made the amendment.
oh, that's right. Let's do that. That amendment, we had to the agenda about using the Kubota during the farm show.
Here just recently, and so at the Ag Committee is having a little tough time trying to find a donator from a vendor to be able to have a side by side. I did mention that we do have a new one, but I would have to come and converse to you guys. So in the process, just last Thursday and so that they had contacted Myron and asked Myron, and so I hadn't had the time to do it yet, but through this process, I did reach out to South Dakota Public Assurance because of liability stuff. It was suggested that more or less to get it declared that any kind of liability, that it would be like a rental agreement through the Ag Committee. So we had set up a rental deal just for the use of that equipment, which would pull that Kubota off of our liability purposes. That was their suggestion.
And I would make that motion and Cindy can help me. Should I include the cost of the rental? I mean, we don't have to even charge them, but we could put a number in there so that it shows.
You can make a motion to allow the farm show committee to use what kind of?
It's the Kubota side by side.
Kubota
Yep.
side by side for the duration of the farm show, provided a rental contract is signed.
That's just exactly what I was gonna say.
Okay,
Also good.
motion by Johnson, second by Gable to work a deal out with the farm show committee. And that's to make sure all the insurance is all covered
Yes,
and.
Yep.
Do we have to set the rates for that now?
No,
Okay.
Any further discussion?
It's not on the agenda, just so people realize, but it's because it's kind of maybe get ready for the farm show.
Yeah, because our next meeting would actually start getting involved in the farm show function. So to get this on now before the next meeting.
Any more discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve. Okay, now we can move down to number 18.
but we're at 19.
There's no meeting next Tuesday.
Yep.
Those are the 5 Tuesdays. Item 19 is action to approve the 2024 wage scale. And that's something we've already, it's been enacted. We just haven't had a motion to approve that.
So move.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Waterman, second by Johnson to approve the 2024 wage scale. Any more discussion?
This just reflects the COLA, COLA basically, correct?
Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
I,
Opposed, motion carries. Item 20, is there action to approve any abatement?
Okay,
21, action to approve claims for payment.
there are 2 that missed the claim paying day in January. Both are bills for the extension of Mid-Continent Communications, the amount of $88.39. And Pitney Bowes for their postage machine, $210. These are monthly bills, and to avoid late charges, it's in your best interest to pay that.
Move to approve.
Okay, motion by Johnson, second by Gable to approve these claims for payment. Any more discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Item 22, action to approve automatic budget supplements
Today,
today. Item 24, action to approve travel requests. Think there's
Nope.
none of those. Oh, action to approve personnel changes.
Galen Rothenberger has been hired as an administrative assistant effective February 1st in the Director of Equalization Office, grade 25, step 3. This is a full-time position at $22.58 per hour.
Motion by Gable, second by Waterman to approve this personnel change. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
There are no travel requests.
Okay, then we'll move down to 25. Any possible quorum of commissioners? Just trying to think. Farm show's not this week. Is there any, do you have any, Commissioner Johnson?
We're good.
Okay. Item 26, is there any old business?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, just a couple things. Number one, so we had the Justice Advisory Committee meeting last week, Thursday. And you'll recall that we had all the architectural pre-design proposals were due Wednesday afternoon. So Wednesday the 17th, meeting was on the 18th. We got 6 proposals in. People can take a look. We have paper copies in the auditor's office if people want to take a look. But the way, since we agreed to Tegra's contract, their job right now is to take a look at those proposals, give us a short list, give the advisory committee a short list to consider interviewing some of those 2 to 3, I guess, of those architectural firms as we go on through the process. So that's first benefit I think we're going to see of agreeing to Tegra's contract. And then on the the legislative session is going on. So I'm on the board for the South Dakota Association of County Commissioners for Sioux Valley. So we have weekly meetings. We're going through different legislative stuff. So folks have things for me to bring up. I can do that, or we can all engage our legislators and engage the Commissioners Association as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Gable. Any other old business? Any item 27, any new business? Uh, 28, still open. Any public comments?
Did we set a meeting for that next Justice Advisory meeting?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be, I'm guessing, late
I
February.
just was wondering if I'd missed that.
Yeah.
Hey.
No, late February, probably.
Thank you.
And I'll keep you posted. Thank you.
Is there any commissioner comments?
I'll just keep the snow away. It's certainly helping the snow removal budget, I'll tell you that. That's I know people think of different things when we're not getting snow, and that I know highway department and living out in the country, I think about the snow removal. Good work, Rick.
2 days of warm weather makes us forget 10 days of misery.
Heat bill supplemented.
Number 29, action for executive session, and we do have a need for executive session number 2.
Move to adjourn into executive session.
Also,
Is there a second? All those, any more discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
there's not likely to be any action.
Oh, yeah, forgot to say that. There is no action to follow.